The new Sculk Sensor block is here, my friends, as part of the latest Snapshot 20W49A. We will be covering how this thing works in today's video, as well as taking a look at some of the other things that came out in today's Snapshot, which includes a sneak peek of the newest biome, the Dripstone Caves, as well as a couple other features mentioned on the official Snapshot page. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so the first thing to look at for Snapshot 20W49A, which is the December 2nd snapshot, by the way, is going to be the fact that there are the new Dripstone Caves. Now, they don't generate naturally just yet. If you want to check out what they look like in-game, you'll have to do the following. From your Java Edition start menu, go to Single Player, go to Create New World, name it, I don't know, whatever you want. Once you've done that, you'll go to More World Options, switch over right here from World Type Default, my head's kind of in the way, over to something known as the World Type Caves. Then click this Customize button. You'll be met with a whole bunch of different biome options, and go ahead and locate Dripstone Caves. Click Done, click Create New World, and you will see right before your very eyes that this all turns into that exact new biome type that you want to look at right here. If we give ourselves some night vision, you'll be able to see this looks sweet. Now, we have changed the world gen type to be caves, so it won't exactly look like this in the overworlds, but the whole premise here is you can see the stalactites and the stalagmites from the last snapshot video we did naturally spawning in all over the place. Warts and all. You can literally see them falling into the ground. You can hear some of the sound effects that were added in. Lovely. This is really cool looking. Now again, this is the only way you can currently access these naturally spawning in game. Eventually these will be added into the actual world gen. I couldn't tell you what snapshot that will come in, but rest assured it will be there at some point or another. And you can see not only the stalactites and mites, but the dripstone blocks naturally spawning in alongside the new copper ore block and things of that nature. You can even see some of these structures, giant stalagmites that are spawning in as well, with smaller looking stalagmites that are appearing in addition to those. Very sweet stuff. All natural. Oh, I also forgot to mention there have been changes to the maximum height limit of the game. No longer are we confined to 256 or 255 on the build limit. We'll get to that in just a little bit. For now, let's focus in on the meat, the Sculk Sensors, and they have just greeted me nicely. That's because Sculk Sensors work based on vibrations in game. Notice as we walk around, we're actually giving off vibrations from time to time, activating the nearby Sculk Sensors whenever we do it. Allow me to explain. Well, in just a second anyways. Couple minor things from today's snapshot first. Before we get to those Sculk Sensors, bundles now always show how full they are, even if you don't have advanced tooltips selected. So we'll go ahead and hide those advanced tooltips. And you can see there that you can still detect the fullness of whatever contains inside of this bundle at a moment's notice. So check this out. Fullness of 32, fullness of 48, etc., 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 until it is nice and full completely. And yes, as I was just mentioning, in custom worlds, you can extend the world height now. So check this out. We've got some stone here. If we look at our Y level, just on the left there, you can see that Y equals 506 right now. We are actually able to build, I think, up to 2047 now on the world height limit. In addition to that, we've set it to 512 for this video, but I believe the theoretical maximum height is 2047 according to some imagery and some text that we've seen on Reddit and various other places. And again, you can fall all the way back down to Earth. And so check this out. You can also set your height limit to negative as well. So in theory, you can also build below 0 now using these changes to height limit down to, I think, negative 2048 on the flip side in addition. But okay, the good stuff, right? The Sculk Sensors. Check out these guys right here. This is extraordinarily exciting stuff. First and foremost, they sound really fun. In terms of breaking ability, you can break them with your fist to collect them. They do appear to animate inside of the hotbar, so that's always fun to look at right there. And you can walk right over them. They appear to be mostly a half slab block, and they also appear to communicate with one another. So when we hit this guy, it will actually cause it to send a vibration to the nearest Sculk Sensor as well. But anyways, the Sculk Sensors, they will detect vibrations, which includes any form of motion, including walking, but sneaking will fix that. at least when it comes to the degree that which you will be able to have these vibrations being detected. So, event triggers can be controlled by data packs. And by event triggers, I mean the things that cause the vibrations to trigger off these Sculk sensor blocks. So for example, right now it's set up so that block place plus sneaking doesn't vibe. No vibration. Right now, if we were to place a block down, once these things stop activating, does in fact cause some vibes. Snapshots, right? But since it's controlled by data packs, you could in theory disable some of these certain types of placements so that they do not cause the Sculk sensors to trigger whatsoever. Sneaking can also be caused to trigger vibes. This is going to be the best snapshot in the world. But right now, they are currently disabled, so you don't have to worry about any of that. You can use Sculk sensors to trigger redstone pulses as well, which means you'll be able to do a whole lot of wireless redstone contraptions using your Sculk sensors. And you should subscribe to the channel because in the very near future, we're going to have a video showcasing all sorts of different ways you can use Sculk sensors to create some awesome wireless contraptions, possibly for farms, possibly for detection and security systems. So make sure you subscribe, hit that bell. Thanks. Now we'll come to some theories as to where these things will eventually spawn in later on. For now, it's worth mentioning Sculk sensors actually don't send vibes from one to the other. It looks as though I thought they did. What's really happening is me jumping and moving on top of the Sculk sensor is actually me sending the different vibrations to the nearby sensors. I thought it was coming from the block itself. It looks like it because we're just, standing on top of it. But yes, in terms of them sending the vibrations themselves, does not appear to be the case. Placing a block naturally can send those vibes, but that is separately from the block itself placing them. In this case, it's the block break that is causing that vibration to send over. So what is the ideal tool for collecting these things? Obviously, we can punch them, but I'm wondering, is it an axe? Is it a pickaxe? My guess is that it's a shovel because mostly anything you can get with your fists you can get with a shovel most effectively. So right, that doesn't seem to have any additional speed there. Pickaxe doesn't. Shovel, interesting. How about the hoe? I'm gonna give myself a diamond hoe and see if that is the fastest. Ah, interesting. So the hoe is gonna be the fastest way to grab the Sculk sensors. Once again, giving these hoes nice uses in game. It's been much needed, to be perfectly honest with you guys. Hoe it up, baby. Now you can hook these up to redstone. However, the redstone strength is dependent on the vibe distance. So we're stood right next to the Sculk sensor. You can see here that it powers that line of redstone essentially entirely. If we were to trigger it though from a distance, you'd see that that redstone is no longer powered to the same degree whatsoever. Again, look closely here. Movement from over here hardly sends anything, but the closer we get, the more powerful this vibe ends up being, eventually powering the entire line of redstone all the way to the end. And comparators will measure the vibe frequencies. For example, walking only has a value of 1. So even though we're right next to this thing, the comparator is only powering at 1. But depending on the degree of the vibration, it will send off different amounts of redstone power. So check this out. Opening a chest nearby will give this redstone comparator a power of 10. Presumably because it's a greater sense of movement. I don't think it's based on sound, it's literally based on vibrations, which is an interesting concept here in of itself. But either way, you can actually modify that even further using wool. So wool will occlude vibrations. It will literally cause the vibrations you are giving off or other things you're giving off in game to be dampened. So it will block the chest vibes. Right now, if we open that, you'll notice the Sculk sensor is not giving off anything whatsoever, whereas if we walk through right there, it doesn't do anything. Now look, right in front and behind of the wool, we are not activating that sensor. Move just away from it though, and we instantly set off a vibration. So you're able to use this to dampen sounds and ensure that whatever contraptions you come up with that use the Sculk sensor can be somewhat controlled using your wool blocks in game. Extremely useful. I am very much so looking forward to all sorts of wireless contraptions that we will be able to see through and realized with the Sculk sensors. Now here we are on the actual snapshot page on the Minecraft.net website, and we can see some of the different types of vibrations and the values of the frequencies they give off. So as we were just discussing a moment ago, steps will give off a frequency value of 1, and different things will give off different amounts of frequency. So flaps give off 2, swimming gives off 3, Elytra freefall is 4. Hitting the ground will give off a frequency of 5, so only half the power of a chest. Splashing 6. Wolves shaking will do 6. Projectiles, 7. So shooting an arrow nearby will give off a vibration frequency value of 7. One of those landing will give off an 8. If you start eating, that's 7. If you finish eating, that's 8. If you hit a creature, a vibration frequency of 9. Adding an item to an armor stand gives off one of 9 as well. Opening a block of some sort, or perhaps a chest, is 11, and closing that will give off one of 10. Switching a block, so I don't know, changing the rate of a comparator will be an 11. Unswitching it is 10. Pressing a block such as a button is 10. Unpressing is 11. Unpressing is 10. Attaching and detaching a block of some sort, maybe that's piston related, 11 and 10. Opening and closing containers, 11 and 10. Dispensers failed, 10. Flint and steel, 12. Placing blocks, 12. Destroying blocks, 13. Placing and picking up fluid, 12 and 13. The largest one, casting a fishing rod, gives a frequency of 15. Reeling that in is 14. Extending a piston is 15. Contracting that is 14. Explosions and lightning strikes, both 15 on that frequency scale. Very interesting. Now here are some technical changes. A new game event system to support Skulk sensing block vibrations. World height related values, we already covered some of that, being able to change the maximum build height. Adding in occlusion for vibration signals, so that way anything in this tag will occlude vibrations and inherits the wool tag entries by default. Vibration and dust color transition. So check this out. Ready? I've got a cool little command here that I'm going to type in, and what it's going to do is cause some dust particles to actually change color in front of us. So did you see that? It's changing from red to blue. And ignore the Skulk sensor movements, those things happen to be unrelated. But if we were to put this command inside of a repeating command block, you'd be able to see it a little more effectively. The particles are actually now changing color automatically. And we can actually change the colors in which these things are activating. So it doesn't have to just be red, doesn't have to be just blue. We can actually shift those colors to essentially whatever we want. Back to the snapshot page, these are all sorts of different events that can be detected in-game using Skulk sensors now. Steps, swims, flaps, free falls, hitting the ground. Basically all the things we covered just above. In addition, there are some tags that we can actually use that will be modified by data packs. Again, this is what we were discussing a little bit earlier. And then, of course, a whole mess of bug fixes that have been changed. My friends, if you want to get your hands on this snapshot and explore the Skulk sensors on your own, then you can check out the video description below where you can find a link to the official page that will give you some instructions on how to find and add this to your Minecraft launchers. Make sure you subscribe for that future Skulk sensor video we have in mind, as well as, more snapshot videos. That'd be useful. And we'll see you later.